Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Mustang Arena for varsity basketball competition. Please welcome our guests from Evans High School. They are the Trojans. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Before we begin our game this evening, we ask that you please stand as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Let's meet the starting lineups, beginning with our guests from Evans, and starting at guard with number 2, Andrew Marcel. At guard and forward, number 3, Clarence Cummings III. At forward, number 11, Bo Bridges. At the other forward, number 21, Andy Antoine. And finally for the Trojans at guard, number 22, Deshaun Osborne. The Trojans are coached by Coach Morgan. And now, let's meet the starting lineup for your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Starting at guard with 6'4" freshman, number 15, Michael James. At guard, 5'10" junior, number 12, Isaac Lester. At point guard tonight for the Mustangs, 6'2", senior, number 1, Tyron Perry. At forward, 6'3", senior, number 4, Sam Bostic. And finally for the Mustangs at power forward, 6'4", senior, number 24, Jeremy Johnson. The head coach of the Mustangs, Mr. Jacino Lubin, and assistant coaches Charles Hardy II and Rodney Oliver. The officials for tonight's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. Tonight's game is being webcast live on WekivaMustangs.com. If you have friends and family who could not make it out tonight and you would like them to be able to tune in live, just send them to WekivaMustangs.com. It is available on any computer or mobile device, absolutely free, no registration required. Again, WekivaMustangs.com for your live video feeds. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, here with you live at Mustang Arena. Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief joins me once again as we take you through the Mustangs' second district contest of the 2017-18 basketball season.
Well, thank you again, Mark. It's, as always, great to be back here at Mustang Arena. And, of course, tonight, as you mentioned, we have a district contest, and not just any district contest, but the perennial state powerhouse Evans Trojans lining up. Yeah, and Andrew Marcel there puts Evans on the board. That'll give them a 2-0 lead early as they get the opening tip. So Mustangs have a loss on their district record against West Orange, looking to turn things around here. Perry takes the shot, can't get it, but an offensive rebound coming up for Johnson. So, again, Mark, Wekiva comes in 1-3, a record we have not seen in quite some time. They have had a difficult schedule, but, again, the bottom line is they've lost 3 out of the 4 games. Their last game was against Jones. They gave up a 10-point lead in the second half towards the end of the third quarter. And in that particular game, Coach Lubin said he was very happy with the defensive effort and the team following the defensive game plan. Jones, very much like Evans, likes to slash and do a lot of dribble drives, and they were not able to do that very well. However, the big 3, turnovers, free throws, and missing layups was the difference.
Second chance basket by number 21, Andy Antoine. Good-looking inbound there. Wasn't able to get it to go the first time, but on the jump ball, tips it right back in.
Yeah, and again, that's been an Achilles heel for Wekiva so far this season, the offensive rebounding, or giving up the offensive rebounding.
Sam Bostic gets blocked there by Antoine. Not able to get it to go. Trojans will get another possession here, an opportunity to go up 6 or 8-0.
So, again, a very intense pace, as you would expect, for between two District 9A3 foes. And although not a up-and-down pace, a very up-tempo pace, both teams moving the ball crisply, as well as looking for good opportunities. Both these teams look like they're very pretty much know what their game is and have their identities. It's just a matter of execution. So far, Evans has done that better 2.5 minutes into the ball game.
James is called on the hold. It's his first and the team's first.
So now Wekiva, although they haven't really had an opportunity yet, has not shown the full court press that they're known for. And, of course, in their set, in a half-court set, they're going with the 2-3 zone. Tyrone Perry at the top here. As we get the inbound pass over to the right corner, brought up to the key, couple more passes back at the key, over to the left wing. And now a shot from the top of the key, which is no good. Good rebound there by Wekiva. Crashing the boards hard.
Jeremy Johnson puts the Mustangs on the board.
And that's a typical, usual what we've seen from Johnson there, getting that up and down move just underneath the basket.
Nice move there by Perry, but I believe it's going to cost a foul. Tyrone Perry called on the arm. That's his first and the team's second. It sends the Trojans to the free throw line. Andy Antoine shooting 2.
And Wekiva there did go to the full court press the first time tonight. We've seen it.
First free throw is good for Antoine. Second free throw is no good. Jeremy Johnson will pick up another rebound.
Of course, Wekiva went undefeated last year in district play, 6-0. That included 2 victories over Evans. Both games were won in the third quarter with big runs.
And so far this year, we have not seen that spurt ability from Wekiva.
Jeremy Johnson got a good look at a jump shot there, but it wouldn't go, and we're going to get a foul on the rebound here. Foul is called against number 11, Bo Bridges. His first and the team's first.
And so now Evans, they're not using a full court press either. They're using a 1-2-2 zone here. Something you don't see quite as often as you used to. And now they've gone back into a 2-3, and we got a turnover. Bad pass. Errant pass, which was intercepted in the lane.
And the quick rebounding of Michael James is going to save the Mustangs and add 2 points for them as well. Michael James on the jump shot for Wekiva.
And again, we've talked about Michael James pretty much a lot through all 4 games so far. The precocious freshman has certainly shown that he's a freshman, but he's also shown great potential and why he's on the team as a freshman.
What is our score? 4? Right?
4, right? And now Wekiva inbounds the ball here. Oh. And they throw it out of bounds. We got a turnover. It's going to be a foul, actually.
The foul is called against Patterson. It's his first and the team's second.
And now Perry's going to inbound the ball. Evans does not contest the inbound. It's into Johnson, over to Bostwick, who gives it over to Perry. The 15-foot jumper, no good. But we got 2 offensive rebounds by Jeremy Johnson.
And he'll get fouled on the second attempt. So he'll get an opportunity to get some points here after all. Trojan foul is called against number 4, Jamani Davis. It's his first and the team's third. Jeremy Johnson will go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs.
And now Wekiva has the opportunity to take the lead for the first time tonight. Nice stroke there by Johnson. Nothing but net. And the second one is good. Gets a nice throw there. We got a turnover here. Ball intercepted at half court.
On charging. Offensive charge is called against Jeremy Johnson. It's his first and the team's third. Kevon Smith into the game for the Mustangs. Boy, Coach Lubin doesn't like that. It was a beautiful play by Johnson. With a lot of speed getting that steal in there. Coach Lubin thought that the defender moved sideways. So the referees did not see it that way, so he'll pick up a charge call here, and also officially that would be a turnover.
And now Wekiva, they're not going to a full court press. Instead, they're using a 3/4 press, picking up the Evans ball carriers at the 3/4 mark of the court.
Andrew Marcel floats one in for 2.
Evans remains content to challenge Wekiva in the half-court set. And now we got one-on-one at the top of the key with Perry. Couple passes. We get down low to Johnson.
Jeremy Johnson for 2.
Nice give and go there around the horn. Getting Johnson open there with the nice leaning shot there. And Evans does a nice job of breaking the press, starting at the 3/4 mark. However, they get it over half court and then have some trouble. The ball does go out of bounds. Wekiva touches it last, so Evans keeps control. And now we're getting a turnover by Evans.
Kevon Smith tips it in for two.
And again, Kevon Smith is being counted on to complement Perry and Johnson here this year. Did a nice job there. Again, very much like the possession before where he found that hole underneath the basket. And we got another turnover here by Evans. So Evans did not have problems on their first three possessions as far as the ball handling. Wekiva's gone to a three-quarters or full-court press, and they've turned it over 3 times now in the last 4 possessions.
Johnson cuts to the key, can't find anything there. He'll go back out for a long-distance attempt. And the Trojans will get the rebound.
Nice rebounding there by Evans, getting the body in the lane at the right time.
Jamani Davis for 3 to tie the game.
First tie of the ball game.
Trojan foul called against Andrew Marcel, his first, the team's 4th. Jeremy Johnson gets the basket and a chance to make it a 3-point play. Foul is called against Andy Antoine, his first, the team's 5th. And Johnson does convert the 3-point play. The Mustangs now take a 13-10 lead as we head toward the closing minute of the first quarter.
And of course, Mark, we have talked a lot, and we will continue, about Johnson along with Perry having to carry the load as the seniors this year, and there's exactly them growing into that role.
Andy Antoine for 2. He was outnumbered and outgunned, but still came up with the rebound, just being in the right place at the right time. Perry at the buzzer, he's got it. Tyrone Perry floats one in from the key as time expires. Mustangs back up by 3. 15-12 is the score at the end of the first.
And of course, I just mentioned that it's not just Johnson who has to take on the load of carrying the team or being the face, but Perry. And as soon as I say that, Perry drills the field goal. Good rotation there by Wekiva to get Perry open for the field goal. And as we go into the first quarter, Wekiva has really changed things from a lackluster start.
Open up the champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it up. Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in. Make yourself at my home, tell me where you been. Pour yourself something cold, baby, cheers.
All right, back in action for the second quarter. Mustangs get the opening possession of the period.
Now Wekiva's having some trouble in their half-court set here. Evans really harassing them. They're doing a nice job of rotating the coverage.
Bostic can't get it to go. Johnson can't get the putback either. Finally, the Mustangs draw a foul. Trojan foul is called against Jermani Davis. That's his second, the team's 6th. Jeremy Johnson shooting 2.
So 3 offensive rebounds there. Great job by Johnson to get inside.
Chris Giroux into the game for the Trojans. Michael James is back in for Wekiva.
So after giving up the first 4 points of the game, Wekiva answered with scoring 15 of 8, 15 of 23. Basically just short, a little short there of doubling Evans. Johnson missed his second free throw, and that leaves us at 16 to 12. And now Evans, something we're not really used to seeing out of them, a more deliberate pace. I wouldn't say we're necessarily talking a slow pace, but they certainly are using a little bit more method and system to their offensive possessions.
Held ball, possession, Trojans.
Block shot there in the lane.
Yeah, James gets a block and the rebound. A violation is charged against the Mustangs. It is not a foul, but the ball will go to the Trojans. Now, Neil, you're going to have to explain that one to me, because I haven't seen that called in a long time.
Well, I'm sorry, Mark. I can't. I have the same lack of an explanation. I haven't seen it in a long time either. So I was just like you. I was thinking Wekiva got possession of the ball, and now we can move the ball over to our end.
The official said something about an illegal elbow, but I'm not entirely sure how that can be a violation without a foul, but I'll have to go check my rule book after the game. Offensive charge is called against the Mustangs. Number 12, Isaac Laster. His first, the team's fourth. So a couple of turnovers for the Mustangs here on offensive charges.
So real quick here, first quarter stats, as this is our first opportunity to talk about them. Both teams were pretty even there, but Wekiva did have a slight advantage, 13 to 10 in field goals. And, of course, that's why, and that reflected in the score. Both teams actually had 6 rebounds, although 5 were defensive for Evans. Wekiva was more even at 3-3. And really the difference scoring-wise was 3 of 3 from the free throw line compared to, for Wekiva, compared to 1 of 2 for Wekiva.
Andy Antoine is called on the foul, his second, the team's 7th. Michael James at the line shooting 2.
And also, we have not had an opportunity to mention that Isaac Laster is back in the lineup. He missed the last couple of games due to concussion. He suffered that against Colonial 10 days ago on Saturday. And that was also pointed out by Coach Lubin after the game against Jones. The team had to do some adjusting there, replacing Laster. Both free throws missed by James. Opportunity to extend that lead, get a little bit of breathing room, not much, but again, even a 3-point lead is better, or 5-point lead is better than 4. Now, one thing that Lubin basically pointed out about Laster having to be replaced is that we have several newcomers to this year's varsity team. Last year, even the players who came off the bench, they had played on varsity for several years along with the starters, so there was not that period of trying to adjust and learn what the other teammates are doing. Much more smoother. Basically, Wekiva had the next man up feel last year, whereas this year they're still trying to learn how to adjust and play with each other.
Michael James on the layup for the Mustangs. So Wekiva back on top by 6 now. For those of you who may be listening audio only, perhaps in the car, we'll try to make sure we keep you up to date where we are in case you're not watching our scorebug.
So a nice dribble drive there from the right wing by James. And again, that's where you see his back and forth being a freshman. Misses 2 free throws and then comes back and makes a beautiful drive through the lane, creating space for himself.
Andrew Marcel from Lloyd Matthew for 3. So that's an important basket for Evans there. They take it back to a one-possession ball game. Nice pass here. That is Michael James on the pass from Davis.
And there's 2 players, of course. We have mentioned James already several times tonight, but Cheyenne Davis is also playing varsity for the first time. And Lubin basically brought him up to the varsity level because he has, as we like to talk about, the intangibles. Understanding where to put the ball so his teammates can score is one of them.
Davis tries to take one of his own, can't get it. Smith comes in for the rebound, can't get his own to go, and we're going to get a foul on the rebound. Michael James is called on the push. That's his second personal foul, the team's 5th. Jeremy Johnson and Isaac Laster back into the game for the Mustangs. Tyrese Bell returns for the Trojans.
So far as we get just below the halfway point of the second quarter, the big difference is offensive rebounds. Wekiva has 4 compared to none for Evans. Both teams have 3 defensive rebounds. And that's translated to 4 points for Wekiva. Now, we really haven't seen the lead as far as the difference change. It's actually only grown 2 from 3 to 5, but those offensive rebounds has allowed Wekiva to maintain that lead. Got a missed field goal here by Evans, about 12 feet from the right wing. Scramble underneath the basket, and we're going to get a foul.
Jeremy Johnson is called on his second personal foul, the team's 6th. At the line, shooting 2, number 23, Lloyd Matthew.
First 2 free throws of the second quarter for Evans. They were 1 of 2 in the first period. First free throw no good. Clanks off the left side of the rim. Second one's good. So Evans is now 1 of 2. And now they're going to remain in a, I guess you could say, half intention full court press. They had 2 guys in the backcourt, but neither of them really gave any pressure to Wekiva once the ball was inbounded. Missed field goal here by Wekiva. And now Evans comes down the other lane. Again, not quite the tempo or the pace that we've seen in the last couple of years under Coach Rob Gordon. Still an up-tempo pace. And we got a field goal which doesn't even catch rim, goes out of bounds. So it'll be Wekiva possession. Score remaining 20-16 with 2:32 left. And again, same situation, I guess you say a half-hearted full court press. 2 players in the backcourt, but they both lay off the pressure once the ball's inbounded by Wekiva. Wekiva doing a nice job of passing the ball around. Pretty much since they fell behind 4-0 and went to a full court press themselves. Not a lot of dribbles, just relying on passes to get the ball about 10 feet at a time up the court. However, we got a turnover on this possession. Pass thrown right into the lane where Evans tips it and then grabs it. Eight-foot field goal attempt by Evans, no good. Wekiva comes down, can't convert the layup. Nice transition opportunity, but a little too hard off the rim there by Johnson. And now Evans comes back, sets up in their half court. And we're going to get a foul here as a field goal is attempted.
Sam Bostic is called on his first personal foul, the team's 7th, and that will send number 13, Tyrese Bell, to shoot 2.
And Evans continues to struggle at the line, missing the first free throw. Ball was a little too weak there, went off the front end. One stat here that I just noticed real quickly is Evans has yet to turn the ball over here in the second quarter. Both free throws no good. And again, Evans with the leading points on the table.
Kevon Smith picks up 2 for the Mustangs. It's the first time we've seen the score move in a while.
Absolutely, but that's the second time in this game that Smith has gotten an offensive rebound and converted it into second chance points.
30-second timeout called by Evans.
So again, we talked about those players who are going to have to complement Perry and Johnson throughout the season. Smith is one of them, and he comes up with a beautiful play there to reestablish the lead at 6 points here as we head into the timeout. Nice job of using his body there to create some space underneath the basket to first get the offensive rebound and then throw the ball up off the glass. And so, of course, Evans by no means is out of this contest, trailing by only 6. But Wekiva's done a nice job of maintaining that lead. Again, Wekiva really has not gone to any particular area of the game. They've been solid all around to keep that lead at 2 possessions at the most.
Bo Bridges for 3. Davis can't get the 3 to fall. Nice offensive board for the Mustangs. Smith can't get the 3 either. Mustangs try to chase it out of bounds. It'll go to the Trojans.
So in this case, Wekiva has an opportunity to get some points, but they wind up leaving those points on the table, so to speak. And now we got 30 seconds left. Wekiva's remained in the 2-3 zone. They have led off the full court press here about the last 2 minutes. Evans cannot convert the 15-foot field goal. And now Wekiva has the opportunity to get the last possession here. Swing pass over to Laster, who can't get the drive in the layup attempt to go. Scramble for the ball, goes out of bounds, and it's going to remain with Wekiva.
The Mustangs will request a 30-second timeout. Oh, yeah. No, I got you.
And so with 10 seconds, Wekiva inbounds the ball up at the key to Laster from under the basket, drops it off for Boswick. He throws it up from the free throw, no good, and Evans takes it from half court, and that falls short. So a lot of action, not a lot of points, though, to end that first half there.
That takes us to the end of the second period.
22-19 is the score. The Mustangs will go into the locker rooms with a 3-point advantage at halftime.
And so, as we mentioned a couple of times throughout the first half, Evans does not come in and play nearly at the reckless, abandoned, furious pace that they have the last couple of years under Coach Rob Gordon, as they have changed coaches. But nonetheless, we have still seen a very quick, up-tempo, and very spirited game, which is very reminiscent, pretty much the standard for District 9A3. Wekiva fell behind the first 3 possessions. They did not look very good. Looked like they were kind of off their game, not quite finding that rhythm. Pretty much like they have the last couple of games, just half a step behind Evans and half a second behind Evans in the decision-making. They then went to a full court, actually switching between full court and 3-quarter presses, and they were able to score 8 straight points to take the lead, and they've held it throughout then, as well as maintained no worse than a 1-possession lead. Evans, for their part, has done a nice job of making some key plays to keep that lead within 2 possessions and giving themselves an opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your halftime stats, beginning with Evans. Jermani Davis has 3 points. Bo Bridges has 3 as well. Lloyd Matthews also put up a free throw. Andy Antoine has 5 points, and Andrew Marcel leads his team for the first half with 7. For the Mustangs, Tyrone Perry has 2 points. Kevon Smith has added 4. Michael James has 6, and Jeremy Johnson adds 10 points for the Mustangs. That takes us to our halftime score of 22-19. Ladies and gentlemen, we remind you that tonight's game is being webcast live. Just tune to WekivaMustangs.com. Please make sure that your friends and family who may not have been able to make it out tonight know whether they are Mustang fans or Trojan fans. We welcome all of them to our website, WekivaMustangs.com, where we are live streaming tonight's game. And we are trying to live stream as many of them as we can this season. Anytime we have a home game, we will do our best to get that up for you. Again, the address is WekivaMustangs.com, and it works from a mobile device or a regular computer. We also remind you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Wekiva Sports for live updates from many of our home athletic events, as well as news and information about our athletes and alumni. We mentioned the live video on WekivaMustangs.com earlier. You can also get the complete schedules for the season. The Mustangs' next game is right here at home against the Lake Nona Lions. That is coming up tomorrow night. Although that will be just a doubleheader with 5:30 and 7 p.m. start times. For those of you who are listening online, we are going to take a break for about the next 6 minutes and 40 seconds, and then we'll be back to call the second half of Mustangs versus Trojans. Wekiva leads Evans 22-19 going into the locker rooms.
the Mac. Get up what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit. Me get up, first shot, come strut walking. A little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious. Somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. Nope, y'all can't copy yet. Glad moonwalking, and this here is our party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all way. Chrome music, I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on. Let that stage light go and shine on down. Got that Bob Barker suit game and Plinko in my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, I'm my INDEPENDENT. Just hustling, chasing dreams since I was 14 with the 4-track busting. Halfway across that city with the back crushing. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Now, can I kick it? Thank you, yeah, I'm so damn grateful. I grew up really wanna go fronts, but that's what you get when Wu-Tang raised you. Y'all can't stop me, go hard like I got an 808 in my heartbeat. And I'm eating at the beat like it gave a little speed to a great white shark on shark. We raw, time to go off, gone. Deuces goodbye, I got a world to see. And my girl, she wanna see Rome. See, so make you a believer. Nah, I never ever did it for a throne. That validation comes from giving it back to the people. Now, sing the song and it goes like, raise those hands, this is our party. We came here to live life like nobody was watching. I got my city right behind me. If I fall, they got me. Learn from that failure, gain humility, and then we keep marching.
Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
So we put our hands
And all my people say, that's right. And all my people say, and all my people say,
Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
The Mustangs have the opening possession of the third period.
Andy Antoine opens up second half scoring for the Trojans.
So as we open up the second quarter here, first half percentages are field goals. Evans took 27 field goals, converting 7.
Michael James on the jumper. Easy pickings for James, and Michael James steals a slam dunk for the Mustangs.
So once again, the freshman shows what he can do.
Visions of Paul Reed dancing in my head. There he goes again. One guy to beat. Oh, that dunk won't go that time. That's all right, though. Perry gets the offensive rebound. Mustangs get another chance. Bounces out. Bostic can't get it to go either. My Mustangs can't catch a break on that possession. Marcel down the baseline, goes out to the corner.
So some excitement here, starting off the second half, generated by the future of the Wekiva Mustangs. We got a field goal.
Perry gets the rebound off of Antoine's miss. Tries to go coast to coast. Too hot on the layup, though. James can't pull the rebound down this time, and Antoine will get it.
So, again, as I started to say there by going through the field goals, neither team shooting the ball particularly well, and that continues into the second half. Of course, for those of you who follow District 9A3, that's nothing new. The intensity gets pretty hot and heavy there under the basket. Neither team.
Traveling is called against the Mustangs. Trojans ball, and we'll pause here for a Trojans timeout as Andre Patterson checks into the game. Full timeout requested by the Trojans.
And so as we are in this timeout here, neither team shooting the ball well again. Only 7 of 27 for Evans. That's less than 30%. Wekiva's 9 for 30. They're below 33%. Both teams shot not well either at the free throw lines. Evan going 2 of 6. Wekiva 4 of 7. And of course, as I was saying there, that's pretty normal here for District 9A3. Both teams play all 4 teams in this district are very intense when it comes to their defense. So right now, in the second half, the difference has been the 2 steals by James. Wekiva has scored only 2 points, but they've gotten significantly more field goal attempts, 8 compared to 4. And that, of course, were those 4 extra field goal attempts came by way of the 2 turnovers, or if you prefer, James's steals.
Speaking of turnovers, the Trojans commit one here. Mustangs holding on to a 5-point lead, 26-21 is the score with 5 minutes and 16 seconds remaining in the third period. Mustangs looking for their first district win of the season and looking to get their season back on track overall. As James misses here, Johnson can't get the putback either. It's going to go out of bounds off the Trojans, though, so the Mustangs will get yet a third possession here in a row.
So a bit of a break there for the Mustangs. Ball took a favorable bounce into one of the Evans players. And again, Wekiva's doing a fairly decent job of getting the ball inside and getting their opportunities. They just are having a hard time converting. District 9A, you see a lot of recovery defense.
Jeremy Johnson is called on the charge. It's his 3rd personal foul, the team's first of the half. And Andrew Marcel took that charge, and it was an absolutely perfect call. You can't argue with that. Feet were planted firmly, and Johnson put his shoulder right into him. So
Yeah.
he has 3 fouls now, and he's going to have to be careful about that because we still have a quarter and a half of basketball left to play here, and Johnson is critical to the Mustang success here. Andy Antoine is going to get called here for traveling. Mustangs ball. So half a step too many on his way to the basket, and he'll get called there.
So, again, the defense remains very solid for both teams. And again, you know, you can just tell by the 26-21 score halfway through the third period here, this is going to be a low-scoring affair. As I mentioned several times during the first half, Evans, of course, was coached by Rob Gordon over the past couple of seasons. A new coach has taken over, Coach Morgan.
Bo Bridges is called on his second foul. It's the team's first of the half, and Jeremy Johnson goes to the free throw line.
And, of course, one of the results is you're not seeing that breakneck, furious up and down the court, 3 passes without a dribble and take a shot pace that we've seen in the past. And we're seeing a lot more of that, I don't want to quite say grind it out style, but certainly Evans is a more deliberate team, relying more on being methodical than they were.
Yeah, and I do remember a few years ago when Rob Gordon took that position, how excited he was to return to his alma mater as their head coach. And so now the Trojans have seen a transition of their coaching staff a couple of times in the last several years now. Returning to the game for the Mustangs, Kevon Smith.
And, of course, the other side of that change in the coaches is Evans does tend to play a more physical style of defense. Coach Gordon liked to play good, hard defense as far as going full court, but his teams tended to rely more on quickness and speed than actual contact. And, of course, you're seeing that difference showing at the free throw line. Wekiva taking more free throws here than Evans.
Checking into the game for the Trojans, Chris Cheroux.
So now with 3:39 left as action continues, Wekiva actually holds an 11-5 advantage in field goal attempts. Neither team has tried a 3 so far, but all of them at 2 points. And, of course, 3 of those field goal attempts came on one possession.
3-point basket by Jermani Davis.
And since we've been talking about how Evans has changed with the coaching change, there's one thing. Evans is much more deliberate as well in taking 3-point field goal attempts. It's more of choose your spots to take it than just throw it up every possession.
Answered with a 3 by Tyrone Perry. So the Mustangs and the Trojans will trade threes there. That takes us right back to a 5-point ball game. 29-24, Wekiva leads with 2 minutes, 45 seconds remaining in the third period.
Yeah, important trade there for Perry and the Mustangs, basically now allowing Evans to get more than one possession scoring.
Looks like we've got some ice on the court as Perry slides. They're going to call a foul. Foul is called against number 2, Andrew Marcel, his second, the team's second. I don't recognize that official signal. It looked like he was charged with a hug.
Yeah, well, all I can say, of course, those of you who know me know that I grew up north and I grew up playing hockey. Had a flashback there.
Oh, no, we've got a technical coming up. Double technical foul is called against Tyrone Perry, his second, the team's second. And Andrew Marcel, his third, the team's third.
So the good news there is that They offset just like you have in football. Coach Lubin did not agree with the call. Took a quick look over to my left, and he yelled at the ref that Tyrone did not say anything.
Second chance basket by Tyrone Perry. He's up to 7 points so far tonight out of the Mustangs 31. Mustangs out to a 7-point lead.
That's their biggest lead of the ball game.
Out of bounds, Mustangs ball. Checking into the game for Wekiva, number 10, Jamari Jones. First time we've seen him tonight.
And again, good defense there by Wekiva. The initial defense, everybody picked up a man, got lots of pressure, and really filled up the passing lanes, which caused the pass to be tipped. And now, of course, Evans has yet to show that full court press here in the second half. They relied on it in the first half towards the latter stages.
Block is called against Andrew Marcel. That's his fourth personal foul, and the team's fourth. So Marcel, who has 7 points for the Trojans, is going to have to come out here. Nice quick move by Charoux there to come in and get the steal. But he's going to get called for too many steps. Mustangs ball.
And there is an unforced error. Again, Evans looking a lot like Wekiva in the sense that they're still kind of trying to find their footing at this point in the season. Of course, Wekiva is trying to find its footing because they have several new players in the lineup. Evans is, as we've mentioned several times, trying to find their footing because of a coaching change.
No basket. Offensive charge called against Michael James, his third, the team's third. Coach Lubin doesn't like that call. It was otherwise a beautiful look at the basket there for James, but official's going to call that. I believe that was Bo Bridges, had his feet adequately planted.
And now, like Evans, Wekiva has remained in a half-court set on defense. They're going to straight up 2-3, nothing flexing.
Foul is called against Mustangs number 10, Jamari Jones, his second personal foul, and the team's third. The basket by number 4, Jermani Davis, is good. He's at the line shooting for the three-point play.
And a bad decision there, really opening the door for Evans. Wekiva's going to catch a huge break as the free throw's no good. Goes off the right back of the rim. And we got a turnover here. Something you don't see very often. Perry was just picked clean. And now we come back the other way with another turnover, this time by Evans. And so after a great start, as far as taking care of the ball, Wekiva's turned it over 4 straight possessions now.
How many fouls on us?
Wekiva remains in their 2-3 zone. Evans takes advantage of it, though.
Bo Bridges on the basket, and that takes us to the end of the third period. The Mustangs lead now cut to 3, a 31-28 lead for Wekiva going into the final 8 minutes.
Did you count the 2 technicals? Because those technicals count as team fouls. So, how many team fouls do we have this half? 5 to 4, so that's correct? Okay.
Traveling, Mustangs ball.
So the one thing I can say, and of course it's reflected in the score, is while Wekiva's really suddenly had trouble holding on to the ball, they've made life just as difficult on the other end of the court for Evans.
And Boston gets blocked there, but Michael James on the second chance basket. That was a good-looking block by Giroux, but the Mustangs able to capitalize thanks to their offensive rebounding.
Yeah, and again, James has really come up big. He's picked his spots to impact this game. He's had 3 field goals now that came after Evans had scored, and looked like Evans could really put together a rally. Missed field goal there by Evans, taken from the left wing about 14 feet. And again, James coming up big, this time with a rebound. And now Wekiva, for one of the few times tonight, gets deliberate. They cannot get the ball to go in, and Evans takes advantage where they go to transition.
Bo Bridges on the basket.
That was a full-out transition there by Evans. I think we've only seen them really going into that straight-up transition about half a dozen times tonight.
Basket by Germani Davis in transition to make it a 1-point ball game, and the Mustangs will call for a full timeout. Full timeout requested by Wekiva.
What's So as we come back here to live action, Wekiva has possession of the ball. And we got 3 of a kind on the board, 33, 32, 3 threes. Shot no good. James comes down with the rebound, but throws an errant pass intercepted. Evans with the tray from the left corner. Second consecutive possession. They go full-out transition. Wekiva dodges a bullet. No one was in the shooter's face. And the field goal planked off the side of the rim. And so after a somewhat deliberate and methodical pace, at least compared to past games between these two teams, the tempo has certainly picked up here coming off the timeout.
Oh, God, sorry. Yeah, we're good. I thought
Wekiva inbounds the ball. Now Evans has decided to remain in a half-court set, no pressure in the backcourt. James takes the ball, passes down low, back up to Johnson, who takes the shot, cannot get it to fall. And now Evans again has an opportunity to take the lead, and they cannot get it to go. Short on the 6-foot baseline jumper from the left side. And now we're going to see Wekiva slow the pace down now. Perry with it at the top of the key, letting his teammates set into the offense.
Traveling. Trojans ball. Jeremy Johnson steals 2. Andy Antoine answers for the Trojans.
So just another night here in District 9A3. Seen some changes between these two teams, but we still got a 1-point ball game with 4:20 left.
Mustangs can't get the jump shot to go. Trojans will get the rebound. 1-point ball game once again. Down the baseline, can't get anything there. Trojans nearly lose the ball to a backcourt violation, but they'll manage to keep it on the right side of the court.
So Wekiva now going to a 1-2-2 with Laster coming up to the top of the key and harassing the point guard. Excuse me, that was Michael James. And again, you're seeing where the skill set of James, as only a freshman, is coming to the forefront, playing up and down. Evans doing a nice job of keeping their poise and not taking a bad shot. Although Wekiva's defense has certainly ratcheted up a couple of levels here on this possession. Holding a 1-point lead here as we got 3:21 left in the ball game.
Bo Bridges will throw it in. It bounces right off of the Mustangs.
So Evans, for all of their being able to go up and down the court and get transition points over the last couple of minutes in about half a dozen possessions, when they have the opportunity to take the lead, they have not been able to get into any type of transition or drive the lane. Wekiva doing an excellent job of at least being able to cut off those two areas on the defensive end.
Chris Chereau with the go-ahead basket.
What is the number? And so Evans finally breaks the riddle of Wekiva's half-court set there. Nice job of being able to get in an established position at about 10 feet.
Jeremy Johnson with a lot of contact on the way up, but he'll get a no call. And we're going to get a 30-second timeout called by the Trojans. Strike that. We'll make it a full timeout called by Evans.
And so Wekiva led for a good majority of this game. They now find themselves trailing by 1. And again, you can still see where that coming into a new season and having to adjust about half a dozen new players taking its toll. Wekiva has shown some good spurts, some good stretches of defensive play, but they have not been consistent throughout the whole game.
Held ball, possession, Mustangs.
So Wekiva's defense comes up big here when they needed it the most.
You need an S on that address or it isn't going to go anywhere. Mustangs. Jeremy Johnson will lose the ball to a steal here, and they will convert. Number 11, Bo Bridges, steals 2 for the Trojans. 11.
And now
So the Mustangs now down by 3 with under 2 minutes. Mustangs have led for almost the entire game until the final 3 minutes. Tyrone Perry is fouled on his way to the basket. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against number 1, Chris Cheroux, his first and the team's 6th. Perry misses his first free throw.
These are the first 2 free throws of the fourth quarter for either team.
Hits his second.
So a 2-point game now. However, Evans has possession of the ball. And now we're seeing Wekiva going to some double teaming here as we're down to a minute and a half.
Evans seems content to slow things down here, take some time off the clock. Make the Mustangs foul. Cheroux comes up with the offensive rebound. He's not able to convert, though. And Jeremy Johnson dives and sacrifices himself to get the ball to Perry. Perry gets stripped, though. And we've got a scramble at the key. Kickball off of the Trojans. Mustangs ball. Under a minute, the Mustangs have a chance to tie or take the lead on this possession. 57.8 seconds. Boy, the Evans-Wekiva games have a history of thrilling finishes, Neil, and this one looks to be no exception.
Yeah, it's been intense for the whole game, but we've gone up about 3 levels here, 2 or 3 levels, as we've gone down to the last couple of minutes. Again, both these teams, despite their changes, Evans, of course, changing coaches, and Wekiva changing several players, defense has still been the anchor. And again, it might not be kind of that same give no quarter, take no quarter, rough and tough and tumble defense, but the defense still has come up big here. And of course, I don't think you need to be a basketball guru to see that with the score at only 38-36 in the last minute.
The Mustangs call a full timeout here. That means each team has 2 remaining timeouts. Leading scorers as we head into the final minutes. Evans has Jermani Davis with 10. Andy Antoine and Bo Bridges right behind him with 9 each. Mustangs have 2 players in double figures. Michael James and Jeremy Johnson each have 12 for Wekiva.
So 38-36, Evans with the lead. As we have under a minute, Wekiva inbounds it, no problem. Johnson takes the pass from Perry.
Perry goes to the key, and he's got it. Tyrone Perry ties the game for the Mustangs. And we'll pause for a timeout. 30-second timeout requested by Wekiva.
And there we see basic fundamental basketball on the offensive end. Give and go being executed by Johnson and Perry.
I feel so close to you right now. It's a force field. I wear my heart up on my sleeve like a big deal. Your love pours down on me, surround me like a waterfall.
And now Wekiva's just going to go with Bostic in the backcourt. Not really causing much problems for Evans, but it does cause him to have to take a couple extra bounce passes. Wekiva retreats into a 1-3-1 offensive or defensive set, and they're really emphasizing the rotation. They're looking to double team in the corners.
We have a foul as time expires. We'll see. Ruling on the court is that the foul occurred after the clock hit 0, and that means we're going to overtime. 38-38 is the score at the end of regulation. That means that we will reset the game clock to 4 minutes for an overtime period. All team fouls and personal fouls from the second half will remain in effect. That means that the Mustangs have bonus in their favor already, and they have 1 foul to give. Each team gets 1 additional full timeout. That means the Mustangs now have 2 full timeouts remaining, and the Trojans now have 2 full timeouts and 1 30-second timeout remaining. I have just 2 full.
So, for those of you who are watching, I'm not sure there's really much we can say to add to that. Pretty much everybody here at the arena are now trying to get their heart rate down. I think it was really hard for me to see from this advantage. The ref was actually standing right in front of the table, but it looked like Evans took 3 field goal attempts, 2 of which were blocked, and the first one was actually off balance, even though he was under the basket.
There was a foul on that final attempt, but it occurred after the clock hit 0.
So a little bit of luck and some good defensive.
Oh gosh, that's exactly the same thing we saw at the end of regulation. This time it'll count though for the foul. Sam Bostic is called on the foul. It's his second, the team's 6th, and that will put the Trojans at the free throw line. Andy Antoine shooting 2.
Yeah, I was going to say on that last possession there, that last series of field goal attempts, real good recovery defense by Wekiva, getting over and picking up the man underneath the basket after he was lost by the original defender there. So 1 of 2 free throws are good, and Evans regains the lead. Again, as we mentioned during the last 30 seconds, both teams took only 2 free throws. And now Wekiva looking for an answer. Evans retreats into the 2-3 zone. Perry cannot get the 6-foot hook there to go. Evans coming down with the with the rebound. And now we got a turnover. Wekiva again with the opportunity to take the lead. This time they are successful.
Michael James with a basket for the Mustangs.
Floating drive there for James from the right wing. Nice give and go by Perry at the top, setting up the drive.
So the Mustangs now lead by 1 thanks to the missed free throw. To the corner.
And now Evans, just like at the end of the fourth quarter there, pretty much the entire fourth quarter.
3-point basket by Germani Davis will give the lead back to the Trojans, and they will spend a full timeout. Full timeout taken by Evans. I have them with 1.5 left. I gave you an extra timeout, yep. So Davis has a 3 and Antoine has 1.
So now the Mustangs inbound the ball, trailing by a deuce. Evans is going to remain with their strategy of not going to any kind of backcourt pressure, settling into a 2-3 zone. They've gone exclusively with that since about halfway through the fourth quarter.
Foul is called against Andy Antoine. It's his third, the team's 7th. Jeremy Johnson shooting 2.
And as you pointed out, Mark, Mustangs are going to be in the bonus the rest of the way.
Johnson hits his second.
So it's 42-41. Evans in the lead. And now Wekiva has changed their strategy. They're going to a full court press. 3 guards in the backcourt.
Isaac Lasser had a good look there. Unfortunately, he zigged when he should have zagged. And Isaac Lasser is called on the push. It's his second, the team's 7th. That will put the Trojans into bonus. At the line, shooting 1 and 1. Number 4, Germani Davis. You're sure that's our 7th, right? Okay.
So now we mentioned over on the other end, when Wekiva went to the free throw line, they're going to be in bonus the rest of the way. The same applies for Evans.
And a miss here on the bonus will give the Mustangs some new life.
Who shot that?
4 was the shooter.
Wekiva catches a break there, and they have an opportunity to regain the lead. Neither team has shot well from the free throw line, and it is going to come into play.
The Mustangs recover the rebound and immediately call timeout. Full timeout requested by Wekiva.
Yeah, and I don't think Coach Lubin there, next time he gets his physical, needs his reflexes tested. He was calling for the timeout even before the ball was actually completely grasped under the basket.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we'd like to invite you to come out and join us tomorrow night as the Mustangs host Lake Nona. That is a doubleheader, 5:30 for JV and 7 o'clock for Varsity right here at Mustang Arena. Complete season schedule along with all of our live video coverage is online at WekivaMustangs.com.
Get ready to inbound here. We got 1:17 left. And I guess basically, as cliche as it might be, The best description is just another night in 9A3. And Evans, of course, remains in their 2-3. They're not even coming out to the key now. They're packing it in. Looks like they're trying to emphasize not letting Wekiva get an offensive rebound. We are under a minute now as Jeremy Johnson spins. Can't get to the row, gets his own rebounds, knocked away. Laster picks up the loose ball. And another layup is no good. Wekiva missing 3 field goals there. And now Wekiva remaining with their full court press. Evans breaks it. Nice job there. A couple of hair-raising moments. But they were able to remain in position and get to the ball first.
The Mustang foul is called against number 12. It's Isaac Laster. His third personal foul, the team's 8th. The Trojans continue into bonus. Andy Antoine shooting 1-1.
And by the way, Evans has not attempted a field goal in overtime. Free throw, no good.
Johnson gets the rebound, but loses the ball to a steal by Chris Cheroux. And he's going to have to foul again. Jeremy Johnson is called on his 4th personal foul. It's the team's 9th. And the Trojans go to the line. This will be Chris Cheroux shooting 1-1. And remember, folks, this game has playoff implications. Mustangs already down 0-1 in district play. And Cheroux is going to hit this one. If he hits another, the Mustangs will have no choice but to go for 3.
This is the second. It's 43-41. 12 seconds. Got a standing room only crowd here. Got a lot of action, a lot of confusion. Coaches yelling at the referees.
Full timeout called by the Mustangs. Boy, the Mustangs narrowly escaped that one. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. We'd like to remind you that for the safety of our players, officials, and coaches, all fans are required to remain in the spectator seating area at all times, including after the game. We appreciate your cooperation.
So let's see if Wekiva can pull one out of its hat here. Inbound to the backcourt, and the ball comes loose, but we got trapped.
Backcourt violation. Trojans ball.
So 1 second left here with Evans' possession.
That takes us to the end of the ball game. The Trojans hold on for a 2-point victory in overtime. 43-41 is the final score here in District 9A3 basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming out tonight for a great ball game.
Supporting your Mustang and Trojan fans. Mustangs, we remind you that your next opportunity to catch Wekiva in action is coming up tomorrow as they host the Lake Nona Lions. That is a doubleheader rather than a triple header, so make sure you make a note of that. 5:30 for JV and 7 o'clock for Varsity. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Wekiva Sports. And bookmark WekivaMustangs.com for all of your scores, schedules, and more. For those of you who are waiting for a ride or for one of the players to emerge from the locker rooms, we do ask that you please do so in the gym lobby or on the patio outside the arena so that our administrators can prepare the facility to be closed. We appreciate your cooperation. For those of you listening online, Neil and I will be back in just a moment to recap tonight's game. Once again, for those of you waiting for a ride or for one of the players to emerge from the locker rooms, we ask you please do so in the gym lobby or on the patio outside the arena so that our administrators can prepare the facility to be closed. We appreciate your cooperation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, what a game. The Mustangs and the Trojans have a long history of some of the most intense and exciting basketball games in District 9A3. That tradition going back several years now, and tonight's game was no exception. A 43-41 victory for Evans in this particular contest, and the first time the Mustangs have gone to overtime here at Mustang Arena in the 2017 basketball season. The Mustangs held the lead until midway through the fourth quarter. Mustangs outscored the Trojans 15-12 in the first. It was a tie 7-7 in the second, a tie 9-9 in the third, and then only in the fourth period did the Trojans finally get some traction, outscoring the Mustangs 10-7 in the fourth quarter, and that brought us to a tie ball game as time expired, and then a 5-3 score in the overtime period gives the Trojans the edge in a fierce contest, Neil, that saw a lot of speed from both teams tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Basically, I know I said it a couple times as we were coming down the stretch there, but, you know, as cliche as it might be, it is the truth. It was just another night in District 9A3. And, of course, both teams have gone through changes. As we mentioned, Evans changed the coaches, and that really changed its style, while Wekiva is introducing several new players into its lineup, which, of course, has not changed the style, but it has opened the door for some hesitancy and some indecision and the inconsistency. Nonetheless, the intensity that we have come to see in District 9A3 continued. This was really one of those games where, as I mentioned, Evans did not go quite to the same kind of defense that they have in the past. Not quite as much of a breakneck, furious, up and down, all-out speed, but nonetheless the intensity was still there, and it was a very physical contest, as well as there wasn't a lot of lightness to it, I guess you could say. basically, I believe Wekiva's largest lead was 5 points. That was midway through the second when they got, which was the end result of that run in which they took the lead. And, of course, in a game like this, and the reason I went through that explanation, when you're playing a game like this where you got that intensity, even though what causes the intensity might shift, nonetheless, the intensity at the end, a 4-point lead is like maybe having a 10 or 12-point lead. And, of course, we saw that as we came down the stretch with Evans eventually taking the lead and then Wekiva scoring to tie it on their last possession.
Yeah, and also a little bit of disappointment here for the Mustangs tonight, although I think they have to, obviously you want the W in the scorebook, especially being a district game, but when I think about this game compared to the West Orange game that I saw, this game we lost because we were just 2 points behind when time ran out, and Evans was just outrunning us at the very last second there. But otherwise, it was a game where we were very well matched and really executing pretty well. West Orange, on the other hand, I felt like the Mustangs were a little bit flat. It wasn't so much that they were a half a step ahead of us, as that we were half a step behind them. So I feel like the Mustangs are improving and doing all the right things. Evans just managed to get that extra edge in the second half of the fourth period and then carrying that into overtime.
Yeah, I would say really, and to piggyback what you said, and to take it one step further, inexperience, I think, really was the difference, not only in the overtime and, of course, in those giving up the 2 turnovers, but in the last minute of the fourth quarter when Wekiva lost the lead, which they held for most of the game. As you mentioned against West Orange, Wekiva really just did not look like a team that was ready for prime time. They, as we mentioned several times during that game when we started this game, Wekiva just looked like they were half a second behind West Orange in their decision-making and half a step behind in the actual execution and what they were doing on the court. Granted, there were some stretches tonight where that same thing happened, but there were far more times when their execution looked like they knew what they were doing. They were matching Evans as far as the decision-making and the actual execution, as opposed to last week against West Orange. The difference came down to those last couple possessions during regulation and then overtime where Wekiva just flat out made the mistakes. I also got to give credit to Evans' defense. In that overtime, they forced the 2 turnovers, which ultimately decided the game. Wekiva did not turn the ball over in overtime until those last 2 possessions.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the pressure really came on, Evans maintained their mental precision and were able to make those things happen. Now, let's take a look at how this affects the math of this season. Evans improves to 3-1, and they also notch a district victory here. Wekiva now, even though, it seems so ironic that we're now saying that Wekiva is 1-4. So a 25% win record, but this did not look like a 1-4 team out there tonight. Wekiva is really playing better than their record. So in that sense, it is promising. And the other thing that I think is a silver lining for the Mustangs, and we talked about this a little bit at the end of the West Orange game as well, is that the difference between the best team and the worst team in this district, at the end of the season,
very minute.
Is going to be very small. One way or the other, whether you're seeded 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're going to have to beat 2 out of 3 between Apopka, Evans, and West Orange. And so that's not going to be an easy task no matter what. But it also means that even if the Mustangs are starting to feel that number 1 seed slip away here, that it doesn't necessarily have a significant impact on their overall probability of making it into the playoffs. So
yeah, in this district, basically, seedings do play a role, but it's not like in some of these other districts, especially the larger ones, where coming in as the last seed, you're pretty much facing a 2-1 disadvantage, an uphill battle. Again, don't be surprised if you see 4 teams that you might have the first and second place team go 4-2, and the third and fourth place teams go 3-3. And again, that's part of why I always describe this district as rough and tumble. and give no quarter, take no quarter.
Absolutely. So while the outcome may have been disappointing, certainly you can't complain about the overall excitement of the game. It was a great game to watch, a lot of fun to call here. We hope that you enjoyed watching, and we hope you'll join us again tomorrow as the Mustangs face Lake Nona. That will be a doubleheader a little bit earlier than usual, 5:30 for JV, 7 o'clock for Varsity. That'll be right here at Mustang Arena. Then the girls are in action on Thursday, and then the boys are back on Friday. I mean, we got basketball every day this week, Neil. So we're keeping busy. We hope that you'll stay with us as well. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Again, my thanks to Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief for joining me for tonight's call. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, wishing you good night.